366 video series. Back again for another video. Today is video 1 in a 5-part series specifically focusing on expanding consciousness. And I'm going to talk about 5 different ways in which you can practice in expanding your personal consciousness, right? We have a collective consciousness and we have our personal consciousness. And obviously, it's a deep process that most people aren't even aware of. So, hi Zoya, I was just thinking about you and I had not seen you. Good to see you. I still have a little bit of a cough, but my name is Kiana Sage. I guide people to peace. I do that through this process called energy psychology. This is the alignment of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. Why? Because we are always running patterns, and these patterns run through all of our bodies. If our patterns are incongruent, then that will create challenges. Nothing that can't be overcome, but it takes some diligence. So I'm just going to wait about 5 minutes for people to jump on here, and then I'm just going to get into the content. Good to see you, Michelle. Hi, Mike. Good to see you. I like your golden key there. Zoya is asking, how are you? Are you okay? I am okay. I've been tired. So I'm almost 100%, just have a little bit of a cough, like dry cough. But more than that, I've been fatigued. So which is why I've been resting. But I'm almost back. I'm almost 100%. And I think I'm going to do 2 videos a day. Hey, Jono, good to see you. So I'm really excited about this next little series. I tend to like the series because these topics are so deep. But I think it's important to keep them simple so people can, do some actionable things. So our little puppy Raw, she has a cut on her eye. So she has a slice in her cornea is what they said. So we are nursing our dog as well. Good to see you all. Good to see you. How are you doing, Zoya, Michelle, Mike, John? Thank you for being, Jono, not John, sorry, Jono. All right. Today we're talking about expanding consciousness. This is going to be a 5-part series, and I'm going to start talking more specifically. Today we're just talking about part 1, and this part is interesting. All of them are going to go deep. So, but I want to give people practical applications that you can do on your own. You don't need a therapist. I'm not a therapist. I do energy psychology. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. And nor do I subscribe to those dogmas of those psychological conditionings and prescriptive approaches. I do believe we're all unique. Although we all run patterns, we don't all run patterns exactly the same way. Okay. Coping with... I'm just looking to see what you're saying here, Sma. Zoya. Thank you, Zoya. I agree. Expanding consciousness is simple. However, there are ways that we can expand consciousness that go beyond the simplicity that require actual healing, and that requires conscious presence. And consciousness, you need to be able to hold it. You can't hold it if you haven't built up the inner strength to create stability to hold it. Does that make sense? So good point, but not totally true. So today we're talking about, well, let me just introduce myself again. I'm Kiana Sage, and I guide people to peace. If you are interested in expanding consciousness, if you are interested in being supported in your own personal development, I help people every single day with this thing called energy psychology, the repatterning of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. I'm doing this video series because I want to share more about the natural laws and the principles that govern energy. But I also want to give practical tips that you all can do to help expand consciousness. Now, I started this topic with I thought I was going to be talking about, gaining more clarity, but it ended up leading into expanding consciousness. And the first topic of expanding consciousness is going to be on attention. Attention to expanding your heart force. So I'm going to ask a question in the poll now. Here we go. I'm going to go silent here because I'm going to voice text this. Going to do this poll, and this poll is I'm just going to start with a few percentages. This is time, energy, effort, focus, okay? And you can't put a ton of options here, so I'm just going to put 4 options. Okay. There is a question in the poll for you all, and I lost people as soon as I said we're going to focus on expanding the force of the heart. Okay, so I have a question in the poll here. Who's here? Who's here? Let me see. Raise your hand if you're here. Kenobi is saying it should be treated as a paradox. It's not a paradox. It is quite simple. Moving energy is quite simple, but so many people are undisciplined in their attention and their focus and in their mind that they end up going in what's called a downward spiral, and they don't understand about reversals of energy. But that's on another topic. Today we're talking about giving attention to your heart and the heart force. And how are you doing that? And if you haven't done that, and you don't do that every day, these are the things that you want to do when you're focusing on your heart. You want to make sure that your heart is healed. So that means any wounds, hurts, vulnerabilities that you may have had that have happened in the past of your awareness in this lifetime. Oh, good. All right, Michelle, you're here. A lot of people don't want to do this work, Michelle. So here we go. This is going to give you like a good practical tool that you can hold on to. So you go through your childhood and you look at your childhood as from the perspective of what needs to be healed in your heart. You don't get overwhelmed. You just do one piece at a time. One piece at a time. And you could go from ages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to your age now. Or you can do your ages from 1 through 5. And basically you want to heal all the hurts and wounds of your physical lifetime. Now, we are a soul, we are connected to a soul which is connected to a matrix, which means that there are past life influences to the current life, but we're just talking about how you can actually focus your energy. And as you're bringing your attention to your wounds, your hurts, your vulnerabilities, your conscious awareness will allow the healing and the light, you're bringing the light in to those wounds to heal. And you stick with each one until it's complete. And when I mean complete physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay? You will know. You will feel a distinct shift with each one. And so you want to become proficient. You want to become a master of your heart. You want to know when your healing has shifted in that perceived pain, trauma, vulnerability, okay? So you want to do, I would suggest do wounds, hurts, vulnerabilities, because they actually build. The wounds are the things that keep you attracting the painful situations in your life. The hurts, more of the same, not as strong as a vibration. And the vulnerabilities are what keep you keeping your walls up. And the whole point of bringing attention to your heart force is to strengthen the frequency of your heart, because that will help you dismantle aspects that you can't even see. So that's the practice of bringing attention to your heart. So now once let's just say you're so good and you've done this in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, and you've done all the heart healing that you feel like is there to do and all your digging, okay? Let's just say that you've done that. Then the practice then becomes noticing when you come out of your heart, okay? You want to notice when you've disconnected. So let's just say you're watching TV or you're scrolling on the Instagram. You want to, I sound like my mother when I say the Instagram. Sorry, I'm making myself laugh here. Okay. I just think that's so funny. Okay, this is a serious topic. So let's just say you're scrolling on whatever you're scrolling on, and you notice you're disconnected from your heart as you're scrolling. That's the moment you want to get reconnected through your conscious intention. So if you haven't taken my intention setting to synchronicity course, please go do so. It will help you with this practice. So pretty soon, the vast majority of your time will be heart-based versus in the mind. That will help you expand in your conscious force. Okay? All right, so I'm going to see what you guys are saying here in the chats. Poker, I was talking about step 1 in expanding consciousness. Just looking at the comments real quick. True. We all run our own programs similar to operating systems. Well, some of us aren't running our own programs, Jono. They're being run by these things called beliefs. They're being run by the electrical currents that most people don't understand that their body is a electrical current. And so those are programs, conditionings, electronics, those all have influences on the operating system. So a lot of people aren't really owning or commanding their operating system, Jono. But I see you get the concept. Okay, I just need to hide spam. Kenobi is saying, there goes one saying, there is wisdom in hell too. Not the best example, but it gets the point across. That there is learning in everything. In fact, I'm going to talk about that in one of the 5s. Thanks for being here, Michelle. I appreciate you. Actively working on this for the past work. Yes, connecting to the heart space can be quite challenging, especially when you haven't brought your conscious attention to healing the hurts, the wounds, and the vulnerabilities. And that's not done through the intellect, that's done through your presence. So you want to practice presence within the heart space. And it can be quite challenging because most people aren't practiced in it. But this is about creating the practice. So I gave you this is a pretty advanced way of doing it. But if you have discipline, you can actually make massive progress. And it will help you significantly. Oh, hey, Oliver, thanks for helping in the chat. That's awesome. Okay, Zoya, what role does mindfulness play in enhancing consciousness? Well, mindfulness helps you be present, right? So presence is important for expanding consciousness, but there are a couple mindfulness practices out there. All of them are about being present, so that's all really important to enhancing consciousness. Yes. Usually mindfulness is about being in the present moment and not doing, as far as I'm aware, Zoya, I'm not an expert in mindfulness workshops or anything like that. It's not really my I think it's gotten too marketed, actually, and it really doesn't resonate with me, so I haven't delved in it totally. But mindfulness in general is important because you want to have greater awareness. Most people are not aware, so the purpose of mindfulness is to increase awareness. How does awareness help you expand or enhance consciousness? Significantly. When you're more aware, does that change your perceptions? Usually, but when people are not mentally flexible, not all the time. And I think, a lot of people lack mental flexibility. I know I did until I started focusing on it, and it became something that I wanted to explore, mostly because it's really important to expansion. And also it's good for vitality, your health and wellness. When you're really locked in, loaded into your belief system and how you think things should be, and even your egos, your perceptions are always going to be distorted. Zoya is asking, how does self-inquiry or the practice of asking, who am I, aid in expanding consciousness? Well, who am I is a fundamental question that you should have an answer for. Should meaning that it's an exploration, and as you change, that answer should change until you get to the right answer. So who am I will shift and change as you grow in consciousness. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps. Jono is saying, I found in relationships that some people relive their trauma if they haven't healed the past. Example, narc abuse leading to trust issues. It repeats. Well, patterns just repeat. That's what they do. And the key to patterns not repeating is recognizing the patterns and then learning from the patterns, which increases consciousness and expansion, and then change, right? You have to make conscious changes. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Deluxe is saying, I'm 34 years old and I fear girls. Well, I don't even know what to say about that. Fears are meant to be challenged because they're false. But the fact that you're 34 years old and you fear girls is telling me that you are struggling with emotional maturity. At 34 years old, you should be engaging with women. So the languaging is something to look at. So Deluxe, I would suggest focusing on increasing your emotional intelligence. Hi, Intense Emotions. Good to see you here. Where are you from? I appreciate you being here. Oh, thank you. Jono is saying, I'm getting better at meditating every day, letting the divine life force or love flow through my heart and soul. Beautiful. Hi, Eric. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling well, healing. Are you ready for the holidays, Eric? Got a new home. You've moved. Then you got injured. So hopefully you're resting. Intense Emotion says, my mind needs this information right now because I am you are. You are disciplined. This is going to help. If you are disciplined and you like to move through things like I do, this is a good one to do, because once you feel the shift in your healing, you will know. You will feel it. The key is to go through, childhood, preteens, teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, however old you are. And then go on to step 2, which is the practice. Okay, Zoya is saying, what is the role of emotions in expanding consciousness, and how can they be managed during the process? Well, your emotions are the actual window to your soul. It's the pure connection into the soul. And so, what I would suggest is that your emotions are showing you what needs to be acknowledged and expressed and felt. They're not necessarily to drive things. And I think a lot of people have their emotions drive things because, sorry, I just noticed something was on the counter. Your emotions are supposed to be felt. They're not supposed to be intellectualized. They're not supposed to be processed. They get processed through conscious presence and awareness. So if you want to manage your emotions and become emotionally stable and become a master of your emotions, you want to acknowledge your emotions. And you want to acknowledge your emotions until it's totally complete. So, I do that. I help my clients do that in session. I'm trying to think if there's a way that you would know, because oftentimes the ego mind will come in and say that you have completed something that's not complete. So you have to be really aware because the mind will fool you, and there are energies that will kind of derail you off of the path. Unfortunately, it's part of it. We have a lot of distractions. So hopefully that helps you. Become a master of your emotions is a great way to create stability within. But that's not really what I'm talking about, but that's an awesome topic. I'm just writing this down. Zoya, you're such a wealth of insight, and your questions are so good. So I'm just writing that down as a topic. It's not part of this series, but it's an excellent topic. Intense Emotion says, I found your channel over a week ago and I love it. Oh, thank you. Deluxe, you're welcome. Hopefully that helps you. There are a lot of books on emotional intelligence, but what I was just talking about with Zoya would help you too. Intense Emotions is saying, so good to see you too. Find you very amazing. I am originally from Chicago. Oh, okay, Chicago girl. Love it. Well, I'm glad that you're here, Intense Emotions. This is a small but mighty group that join in here. How can I create, Zoya is so good with her questions. How can I create a culture of empathy and understanding in an increasingly polarized world? Well, Zoya, you have to be the change you want to see. So what I would suggest is start looking at where are you polarized? Where are you polarized? And start to heal those aspects. You can't change a culture unless you have created that change within you. Everything that you're seeing outside is a reflection of the inner world. So allow the inner world to start to create your outer world, and it will shift immediately. I'll give you a simple example of how I've done this in the past. When I was early in my career, I had so many coaching clients. I did group work. That's my forte. I'm really good at doing groups like pairs or teams or family dynamics. Like that's my forte, or larger groups. That's my passion. I love that. I think it's so fascinating and rich, and I just love seeing people come together. But I was really sought after for one-on-one work, which I do now. The vast majority of my work now is one-on-one, although I still work with couples, which I like. That's my new joy. Anyways, when I had like 50 clients one-on-one, and in a 40-hour work week, you could see that's a lot of clients. So I didn't have everybody every week, but I would rotate, right? So I just looked at my schedule and I thought, this is not what I prefer. I didn't like that grind. It was not serving me. I didn't think I was being maximized in my services. So I switched my focus, and I switched from one-on-one to teamwork. And within 6 months, my entire business completely flipped. I now had more teams than I did one-on-one. That way I can have a bigger impact on the organization, and I was being less taxed personally, and I started to limit who I would work on one-on-one. Now, that started with focus and attention. So when we're talking about expanding consciousness and we're talking about attention, I'm talking about you giving attention to your heart. I asked the poll question here because how many people are giving any attention to their heart? Let's just see. I mean, there's not a ton of us in here, but you could see that we have, and let's just say your ego is involved in your answer, so that's probably less than what you think. So we just want to give ourselves some credit here that our ego is at play always. So we want to know that if you think it's 100%, it's probably a little bit less. Not saying that you're not perfect, because you're all perfect, just where you are. So let's just say this. If you focused your attention on your heart more, you would feel more expansive. You would feel more compassion. You would feel more love. You would see less of the lack. You would see less of the polarity. You would see less of the hostility. Those things might still be there, but it would get less of your attention. So where you're giving your attention, you want to feed what you want to grow. It's a simple thing. Write that one down. That's not mine. You could keep it. This is universal. Feed what you want to grow. And if you are focusing on healing your heart and your wounds and your hurts and your vulnerabilities, you're going to have more room to expand. So those things will not be siphoning you anymore. Right now, we have walking wounded. And so they're being siphoned. And you wonder why there's so much anger. There's so much anger because people have so many unhealed wounds, essentially. So the key for expanding consciousness is healing your heart, so you don't have to have the walls of protection up, because you don't need those. Those are a facade anyways, and those are keeping out what you want in, as much as keeping out what you don't want in. It's just keeping you isolated and alone and hurt. And so let that go. Let that be something you let go. Okay, so when you shift your attention, like I just used in that example, when I shifted, okay, I don't want to work so much one-on-one, I want to do more group work. Within 6 months, my entire business changed, just with the focus and the clarity. And I'm going to get to setting goals and all of that and intentions. Like I said, I thought I was going to do that today, but I think I'm doing that after Christmas, I guess. But I think that's important because most people don't have clear goals. But the reason why I wanted to do this topic on expanding consciousness is hopefully to introduce you to a higher quality type of goal, which is where your attention is going. Okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking at you. I don't mean to. Okay. Oh, good to hear, Eric. I'm so glad you're feeling better. Zoya is asking, how can we ensure that advancements in artificial intelligence benefit all of humanity rather than a select few? Well, Zoya, there is a split in consciousness, okay? There are some people that are going to stay in the physical and they're not going to advance beyond into their multidimensional aspects. That's the truth of the matter. So how AI is going to be used in the various dimensions is going to be based on always intention. So you can't change the intention of the creator, but you can change the intention of your use of the creation. So focus on that aspect. Be the change you want to see. Intense Emotion says, I'm never letting you go. I need people like you in my immediate environment. Well, thank you. And we all need each other, Intense Emotions. You know, we all are here. We're all growing. We're all trying to expand. And it's just really hard to find groups, which is why I do these YouTubes, is because I struggled with it. And I also struggle to find people with integrity. So I figured I might as well just test out the waters and see how people resonate with it. And you know, you see this channel doesn't grow super fast. I'm not doing any marketing. There's nothing inorganic about what I'm doing. I just come here, I speak from my heart, share my truth. I'm not a practitioner of everything. I am a practitioner of many things, but not everything, and I don't know everything. But what I do know, I'm willing to share. Yeah, Zoya, you have very good questions. Hi, Sid. I usually I have something to say. I think I rather listen and learn something new. Your intellectual conversation sparks my interest. Oh, good. I'm happy to have you join in. Hi, Mick. Good to see you. Mick is saying, are we not in touch with our heart in everything we do? Most people are not even consciously aware that their heart is a portal to multiple dimensions. And their heart is a portal for accessing the infinite. So, yeah, Mick, I think a lot of people aren't consciously aware of that. And a lot of people don't understand that they run electrical currents. And, you know, that's why they have an EKG when you go to the hospital and you have trouble with your heart. That's usually one of the first things they do. They want to see how the electrical currents are running in your body and how that's changing things. And I do think that there are some medicines that disrupt how your currents are running. And I will also say this, what a lot of professionals say is healthy is actually not healthy. So we have to use critical thinking in everything that we're doing. You should do it even with me. Jono says, how can we help others create stability within? You be the example. You be the example, Jono. Okay, I have that down here as a topic though, yes. Zoya says, what beliefs or values have I inherited and do I still believe them? I know that is such a great, but the DNA, Zoya, is so powerful and we inherit a lot of things, but we are also co-creators. So if you have beliefs that you believe you had inherited, why don't you take that question and go into inquiry and go find them? What beliefs do I operate off of that have been inherited? And do I really believe that? That's a great way to increase personal development and integrity, because oftentimes we hold on to beliefs that are passed down from generation to generation and we never question them. So it is really important to go into inquiry, Zoya. You're so smart. And that is a brilliant question to be asking yourself, because when you start to untether yourself from these false beliefs, you become more free. It's quite on. Mick is saying, I may not understand the question in the poll. It's very possible that I didn't write it as clear as it could be. But the question was, do people spend, how much time do you spend is really, do you spend conscious intention on being in your heart? And most people do not. As we see in the poll, right? We have some people that do, but most people are not. Okay, Zoya says, what beliefs do you hold most strongly and how do they influence the way you live your life? I would ask the first question more. The first one to me is more interesting and will go deeper faster than the second question here, Zoya. Both excellent questions, but it's the inherited beliefs, it's the programs, it's the conditioning that go unquestioned that cause the most nefarious disruptions. So, there's so many studies out there on this. I'm just thinking which one to share. Because a lot of people don't understand even programming, but programming is what is happens before you get to the belief system. So if you could go straight to the belief, then you can, and you dislodge that belief. So for example, you decide that, you know what, I believe that my mother was always right. Or another one, I believe that family's first. And you put family, you've been taught your whole life, you put family first. And family's number one, and number one family. And all of a sudden, somebody in the family does something that is not in alignment with the patriarch, the mother or the father of the family. And they say, you know what, you're not allowed to do this in this family. And they lay down the law and say, you can't do this in this family or you're out. Is that really family first? Is that really the family behavior? No, it's a lie. Family was never first. It was, if you follow my rules and you follow my direction and you follow and adhere to what I say, then you're in the family. The moment you go veer off on your own independent discovery and you don't adhere to the rules of the matriarch, you've now bucked this belief system. And now you learn, the person that did that learns, it really isn't family first. That was all a lie to control you. Family first is always going to be evident by the behaviors in which we treat people with love, respect, and compassion. That example I just gave you has none of that. Zero. It's omitted because it's about control. Now, somebody might say, well, that person that is that controlling is sick. They have a mental disability, and they're maybe a narcissist or whatever. It doesn't matter. The belief needs to be addressed because you still are holding that belief. Now, the moment you let go of the belief that family's first, now you have more freedom to see clearly. But the lie attached to the belief is what keeps you from seeing clearly. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh, thank you so much, Intense Emotions. I appreciate you like my hair. Jono's saying hello, or Oliver's saying hello. Excuse me, little. Oh, thanks, Oliver. I'm going to pin that for whoever wants to reach out to my website and book a session. I'm here. Hi, Eric. Oh, thank you so much, Intense Emotions. Very nice compliments. Jono is saying, you are the light unto the world, Kiana. Thank you. Yeah, I think integrity, there's a lot of people with integrity out there. They're not always on these social media platforms because, when you're not in the marketing game, you don't meet the algorithms or how people do things on these internet things. It's okay. People find you by sharing content and ideas and, oh, I heard this from Kiana. That's fine. Jono says self-awareness is key to unlocking your hearts and minds. Self-awareness is very key. I would say your faith and development in relationship to God is the actual key, personally. Yeah, Mick, is Mick 100% in his heart force? If you had to guess, Mick, what do you think? He thinks he is. Oh, Jono says he got kicked out of his family the minute he stood up to tyranny. Yeah, that'll do it. Intense emotions. I could be wrong, but I believe that if you don't know yourself, you are not tuned into your heart. True. But if you're disciplined, you can get in tune with your heart because of your standards and boundaries. Standards, and I would say, and values, because those drive everything. But most people don't know what they value. Most people don't know what their standards are. And most people don't adhere to their boundaries. They allow their boundaries to be pushed and pulled and walked over, and they think, well, I'll just reset the boundary. But that's not what respect is. When your values are driving your boundaries, if somebody oversteps your boundaries, there's a consequence. The consequence isn't resetting the boundary, the consequence is a change. If you don't make a conscious change, nothing happens. They are going to do what they do because that's what people do. They walk over other people because that's what they do. So have values, honor them. That's how you create inner congruence. Have standards, honor them through conscious choice, through conscious action. Again, your attention to your heart is, how am I honoring my heart with my boundaries? How am I honoring my heart with this relationship? And if you can't honor your heart with this relationship because this person is not honoring or respecting your wishes, then that's telling you a lot about the relationship and going back to the beliefs that keep you hooked into that relationship. Ask yourself, what do I believe about this relationship that's not true? I believe families first. Oh, okay. Do I have data to support that that's actually what happens in our family? What happens when somebody does something that this person doesn't like? Usually that will be a data. And just because you didn't get ousted doesn't mean you're not being betrayed in some way. It's very interesting. Okay, Michelle is saying, once I took family off the pedestal, it got better. Yeah, well, nobody should be on a pedestal, right, Michelle? Nobody. Right, because we're all here to learn and grow. And if we can admire, we can respect, but nobody's better than another. In truth, we're all here on a journey to have an experience. And your family, your life, the experience is here. Zoya is saying, loving yourself is the key to healthy relationships. When you value yourself, you're better able to give and receive love while setting healthy boundaries. Again, I'm going to say, I don't totally disagree, but I'm going to say developing your relationship directly to God, source energy, creator, Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, that is the key. Developing that inner relationship with your creator, your source energy, that is the key, and that's how you love yourself more. That's my opinion, Zoya. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just say when we're using the language about keys, obviously there's many keys, but there are precursors to opening the doors. And you want to get the main door unlocked, which is your direct relationship with creator. Intense Emotion says, nowadays I don't watch the whole video, a lot of digital content. I click on a button, but your conversation matches the conversations. Thank you so much. You know, I appreciate that. I really enjoy these conversations too. I don't have these outside with my outside friends, you know? I have one or two really strong relationships, maybe 3, maybe a small handful, okay, where I can have these types of conversations. But I get to have them with you every day. I mean, it's a blessing. Zoya is asking, did creation have a beginning, or is it just eternal? I think it's a yes and. I think it's a yes and. Mick, I thought I was thinking, maybe not, as I thought I was, but compared to a few years ago, I'm more in line. Yeah, and I think, Mick, the thoughts, this is the thing that comes up most often when a client they will think they're in their heart. That's not thinking. That's not being in the heart. You have to know you're in the heart. That's how you know. It's a knowingness. It's not a thinking process. Being in the heart is a knowingness. You don't think I'm in my heart. Well, I thought I was in my heart. That tells you you're not in your heart. If you're thinking you're in your heart, that's not the same as I know I'm in my heart. Intense Emotion says, thank you for, it is so helpful. Intense Emotions, I've said this in all my videos that I talk about values, but have your top 5 values. You want to embody your values. That means they become a vibratory experience within you. And once you've embodied your values, then you expand them into the next top 5. But usually I have 5 primary values that I'm focusing on for the entire year. And my goal is to embody them, each of them. So hopefully that helps you and is interesting. Hey, Ramen, good to see you. He's angry. The dictators directed my life and leave me no choice but leave my country. How to be calm and possible. Hey, consciously breathe. When you're consciously breathing, you cannot be angry. So consciously breathe. And if you're highly stressed, 2 breaths in through the nostrils, exhale out through the mouth. You will not be angry if you do that for 10 minutes. Hopefully that helps you. It sounds like you're being moved to somewhere new. What's something you've always wanted to learn but never had a chance? I'm learning right now about bioneurology, and I do it for fun. That's what I do for fun. I don't know if that interests you. And I do that on my own, and I look for content that resonates consciously at a higher frequency, and that keeps me out of the colleges. So I don't go to college to learn. Intense Emotion says, I love this conversation. That's good because we have a 5-part series. And today we're talking about attention. Attention to healing your heart. Focus on your heart. I gave you 2 examples. Really, one was like how to heal your hurts, your wounds, hurts, and vulnerabilities of your heart, going from being a child all the way up until whatever age you're right now. You want to go and heal all those aspects. And I don't know how long it'll take you to do that, but it doesn't matter because you're worth the investment. And that dedicated investment would be a wise goal for the new year. And then once you've got that down, then you can go into step 2, which is to practice being in your heart all day long. So that would mean noticing when you disconnect. Zoya is asking, what is a small habit that has a big impact on my life? That's a very interesting question. What's a small habit that I have? I think the biggest habit that I have, I think that, I'm going to go out on, I'm going to share the first one that came to mind. And I remember being 16 or 17 years old, and I made a practice to do things that made me uncomfortable. So I would consciously choose to stretch myself. And I did that in my teens. Then I got into my 20s. I went to college. I did all that. And I really got away from that, even though college was quite uncomfortable and definitely challenged me. It maxed me out. And I felt like when I left college, I felt like I lost a lot of the uniqueness that I had before I went into college. I've never said that out loud, but that's kind of how I feel it happened. And then before I turned 30, I made a promise to myself every year to do something on my birthday that scared me. So I've kind of brought those things into my everyday life. And what did I learn today? I think my learning is my habit that I practice every single day, but that was driven from going outside of my comfort zone and doing things that are uncomfortable. So I do that, with taking cold plunges and, trying new supplements or vitamins that are stimulate a different aspect of my body, that type of thing. Those are habits, I think, that are driven from an attitude of growth to challenge myself to go out of my comfort zone. And I think that's also lended itself to creating more mental flexibility, which I still think I can expand on. I'm still growing. If you could have any superpower, what would you choose and how would you use it? Superpower. I'm thinking, what superpower would I use? And how would I use it? I really don't think anything is out of the realm of possibility. So when you think about superpowers, I don't know what's a superpower. I mean, I do healing for a living. In my 20s, I would have thought that was a superpower, and I do that. So I think we're more powerful than we understand or have been allowed to believe. So I don't really think, I'd have to think about that one, Zoya, because I don't really know that a superpower that's stronger than being a wielder of light consciousness. That's pretty freaking powerful, and that's what I do for a living. And I work on doing that to help other people raise in consciousness. That's what I do every day. Zoe says, do you believe that God communicates with us directly? I do believe that. I do believe that God consciousness is an energy. I think God is a consciousness. It's not a being. It's a consciousness. It's a frequency. Do you see God's presence through action, signs, or others around us? I think we're all emanations of God. That's what I believe. Hi, Red Hunter. Good to see you. What are the most important qualities or attributes of God in your understanding? Love. That's it. That's it. Love. Let's see. Mick, thank you. Zoya, I have no more questions left. Thank you. you're providing all the answers to my questions. Thank you, Zoya, for your amazing questions. Eric is saying, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. And Jono is echoing that. I will say the same. I'm going to be back here tomorrow for another video for the Being in Sync 366 video series. This is a video series for every day. We're talking about aligning to the natural laws. So if this interests you, please give us a like, turn on your notifications, share this content if you find it helpful, and have a great day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye. Thank you for being here. Oh, I just got to read what you said, Intense Emotions. Oh, good, Intense Emotions. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle, Mick, Don, Jono, Intense Emotions. See you tomorrow, you guys. Bye.